Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you guys my Skull Servant Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile for the end of June 2018. I wanted to bring you guys this update to the deck profile since the May 2018 ban list. We had a change in which that grass looks greener got hit on the ban list, and the big focus of the Skull Servant deck was that it was a 60 card deck that focused around that and using left arm offering and a bunch of other different zombie support just to make the deck work as a whole to get your graveyard filled with Skull Servants faster. So we're back down to a 40 card deck, just focus more on the Skull Servant monsters with a little zombie support to help out, build up the graveyard, which the main focus of the deck obviously is to use, King of the Skull Servants to boost them up to big numbers, then hit your opponent for game. But like I said, reduced it down to 40. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off, pretty standard, 3 Skull Servants. I would love to give eventually, all 3 of them being Ultra for this deck. But until then, you gotta stick with the 2 commons. But pretty standard for the Skull Servants. Your vanilla white monster, I think is what they all go by, the WIGHT monsters. But Skull Servants, I think, is the name they're more known as. But pretty standard for the 3 for this. And I also run 3 King of the Skull Servants. With this one, the original attack of this card is the combined number of King of Skull Servants and Skull Servants in your graveyard times 1,000. And when this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can banish one other King of Skull Servants or one Skull Servant from your graveyard to special summon this card. So that's the great thing about this card. Minus the 1,000 attack by banishing, he'll still keep coming back to the field to reuse. So very annoying for your opponent to get rid of by battle-wise. But basically, your big focus of the deck for sure. So you want to get him out fast and make sure you stack up his attack fast as well so you can hit for the big numbers like I said earlier. And I also run 3 Lady in White face up level 3 or lower zombie monsters on the field, except the Lady in White cannot be destroyed by battle and are unaffected by spell/trap effects. This card's name becomes Skull Servant while in the graveyard. Like many of the Skull Servant support in the deck, they all are counted as Skull Servant while in the graveyard, so that really helps with the King of the Skull Servants. And this card just helps to protect your other Skull Servants on the field by being destroyed by battle. She has 2,200 defense, so great for the defense play for sure, just to set up. And if she ends up going to the graveyard, it's just additional support for sure, since you want plenty of them in the graveyard to use. And one of your very important ones is White Mare. With this one, while this card's in the graveyard, this card's name is treated as Skull Servant. And you can discard this card to activate one of the following effects. You select one of your removed from play Skull Servants or White Mare, return it to the graveyard, and then select one of your removed from play Lady in White or King of Skull Servants and special summon it. So easy special summon options with this card. I like to run 3 of all the Skull Servants just so you can hit max numbers and just, so you can grab whatever you need faster for your plays. And White Mare especially is very helpful for depending on what you need at that specific moment for the field. And also 3 White Princess. This card's name becomes Skull Servant while it is in the graveyard. And if this card is normal or special summon, you can send 1 White Prince from your deck to the graveyard. And during either player's turn, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard. All monsters currently on the field lose 100 attack and defense equal to their own level and rank times 300 until the end phase of this turn. So she just helps with that additional minus, since you won't really be affected for your King of the Skull Servant since it's a level 1 monster, but just to reach down your opponent's numbers more, and then you can swing with that big one if they have like a strong monster that if you swing into it with its normal attack, it won't really, hurt your opponent as much. But White Princess definitely does help with that. And also 3 White Prince to go with the White Princess. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send 1 Skull Servant and 1 Lady in White from your hand to the deck, from hand and or deck to the graveyard. And you can banish 2 Skull Servants and this card from your graveyard to special summon 1 King of Skull Servants from your deck, and this card's name becomes Skull Servant while in the graveyard. So with the discard effect with White Princess and White Prince's own effect, being able to search out King of Skull Servants, it's just a much faster way to get out your King of Skull Servants. Being able to send with the White Princess, then banish with the White Prince to get it out on the field. Just be wary of how much you're sending, because you might have little to no resources depending on how much you banish from your graveyard. So you want to make sure it's built up pretty nicely before then. And that's it for all the Skull Servant monsters. Like I said, 3 of each, just to get those numbers to max potential for the King of Skull Servants. For the non-King of Skull Servants, I want to run 3, only have 2 Shiranui Solitaire. Just great backup support for any zombie deck. With this and Unizombie, you contribute 1 zombie monster, special summon 1 zombie type tuner with 0 defense from your deck. And if this card is banished, you can target 1 of your banished Shiranui monsters, except for Solitaire, or up to 2. Like I said, that effect is pretty much unneeded. You just want to go for the tuner special summon effect to get out Unizombie and then use Unizombie's own effect. To fill in, just for the 3rd Solitaire, 2 Armageddon Knights. The send effect definitely does help with the deck, and the fact that it only has to be summoned. You can use Monster Reborn, Soul Charge, whatever you prefer with this card to get out your basically your Skull Servants into the graveyard. If they have graveyard effects as well, make use of them there. And also I run 3 Mizuki with Unizombie, pretty much staple, send, special, great card to make use of in the deck for sure. And lastly, for the zombie support, 2 Unizombie. This one has the level adjusting effects. It allows for your synchro plays as well, but with, Solitaire, just an easy special summon to get out. Just 2 though. I used to run 3 of this with the 60 card variant, but dropped it down to 2 since more space options, and you just want to be able to, hit into your other monsters faster. If you open up too many Unizombies, it can become kind of cloggy. And lastly, for the monsters, I run 1 Dark Arm Dragon. I didn't run Dark Arm in the original 60 card version just because it was so wishy-washy. When you would grab grass, use grass, and you would not have the 3 dark monsters exactly in your graveyard to special summon out the Dark Arm Dragon. But with this deck, you have more control over your graveyard, which is one thing. So much easier just to special summon this guy out for sure with all your different options, especially if you open it up first turn, and much easier to open up first turn since you run the 40 card instead of the 60 card version of the deck. We'll also get to what I would take out for the 2 Armageddon Knights. Like I said, I would replace 1 of the Armageddon Knights for the Shiranui Solitaire, but when we get to the spells, I'll show what else I would remove for it. But moving on to the spells, I run 3 Where Art Thou? Way too good a spell card to run in this deck. If you control a face-up level 1 monster, you add 1 monster from your deck to your hand, and during the end phase of this turn, you take 2,000 damage if you did not normal summon the added monster or a card with the same name after activating this card. Now, you just want to grab King of the Skull Servants or whatever you need with this card as fast as you can. The 2,000 life points isn't that big of a problem since you don't really use your life for much more else in the deck except for Soul Charge if you go for it. But even then, you still have plenty of life to spare for that card to use. And also, 1 for 1, once again, standard staple card. Much easier than Where Art Thou to get out the King of Skull Servants. You just have to send a monster from your hand to the graveyard, which lots of times, if my graveyard's already built, I can send Mizuki, then use Mizuki to get maybe another King of Skull Servants out that was in the graveyard already. You have definite options with a lot of your level 1 search or special summon cards in the deck. And 3 Allure of Darkness, this is just to help with the draw support with the deck, since you want to grab the right dark monsters or, just monsters in general to use. And you run plenty of darks in the deck to, benefit off of this card. And I also run 1 Dark Hole. Now this definitely helps for field clearing for your opponent. Then you get out your Skull Servant monsters and then hit for the big numbers for game. If I would also run Regeki, just, it's in other decks at the moment and couldn't find it. I would take out 1 of the Armageddon Knights for the Regeki as well, just so you have those board clearing options. And you can benefit from 1 card, so they don't really fill up too many of your space fillers for, actual combos to go off. And also 1 Soul Charge, easy special summons for a lot of your different monsters, especially if you have multiple King of Skull Servants to get off. Sure, you can't attack that turn, but then your opponent has to worry about how to take down so many of the different Skull Servant monsters next turn for sure. And same goes for the Monster Reborn for the same premise, really. And lastly, to finish off the main deck for the spells, 2 Twin Twister. Now, this card, is my #1 choice over all of my other spell popping cards, MST, Cosmic Cyclone, for obvious reasons, just because the discard effect just builds up your graveyard, which is your second hand basically with this deck to use. So being able to pop pesky back row like Solemn Strikes or anything like that could mess you up and your plays just comes to light with this, and then you have less fears when you're trying to attack with your King of Skull Servants. And that's it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra. I run 1 Link Spider. Now this just helps if you open up with your, vanilla Skull Servants and you need them for something. Especially times I've opened up 2 where I would make into the Link Spider and then, special summon another one to the field just to have more options for Link summoning, obviously, because this is right here a Nightmare play, that you can go into right then and there. And I also run 1 Underclock Taker for the Link 2s, same with Akashic Magician. Now, I would probably take out the Akashic and maybe one of the Nightmare cards, which I also run ones of Unicorn, Goblin, and Cerberus. I would most likely take out maybe the Goblin and the Akashic if I had Link Karibo and put that in, just because you run plenty of level 1s to make full use, so 2 Link Karibo would definitely come in handy in this deck. Just don't have any, definitely waiting and excited for that starter deck when we get it, since they confirmed that Link Karibo will be in it, so it'll be a definite help for sure. And then some of the bigger Link monsters, Topologic, Borreload, and Druzbana, just to finish off your more offensive extra deck monsters. For the Exceed monsters, I run 1 Tornado Dragon, 1 Princess Sprite, and 1 Utopia Roots. If you want, you can even take out the Utopia Roots, try out a Leviair, plenty of level 3s as well to make those ranks possible, and to get some of your specials, your banished monsters back through a special summon. And then for the Synchros, I run 1 Underworld Fighter Balmung, 1 FA Dawn Dragster, and 1 Cyframe Lord Omega for the Synchro options you have available to you with Unizombie. I might even, if you have Shogun Saga, which is the Shiranui monster, I would take maybe the Dragster out and put that instead. But just different Synchro options are available to you, since you want to make the most of the Unizombie as well. You might even want to take out the Balmung just for maybe Black Rose or something like that. I like Balmung in the deck though, because it helps with special summoning your level 4 lower monsters in the graveyard, which are the main point of the deck as well to begin with. But yeah, that is it for the deck profile. I wanted to give you guys just another deck before Battles of Legends comes out, because I'm really excited to give you guys those deck profiles for all the different decks as well, including Rockets, Time Lords, the Fairy Tale deck, which I can't remember the exact name they changed it to, but it definitely does look like fun, so can't wait to do all those for you guys as well. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and until next time, Kira Twig out.